crispness.
Yeah. It's good you got that out. You can go anytime.
Okay, so we're ready. All right, Ginny, I'm going to do an intro, and then we're just going to have a short little conversation. Then we're going to put Vince in the chair and execute him.
Okay.
Interview him. Excuse me.
Okay.
All right. Hi, and welcome to the Revive, Thrive, and Optimize podcast. I'm Billy Weiss, compounding pharmacist and health and wellness expert, and I'm really excited today to have an out-of-town guest all the way from Pennsylvania, and that is Ginny, who has become a really good friend, and her and Vince have come to visit, and I was like, Ginny, we really need to get you on the podcast. We need to get Vince on the podcast and tell us your story. So why don't you just tell everybody how we met and when? It's been recent.
Right.
And now you're here visiting, staying with us. So talk about that.
Well, we all met on the RV trip that we took in March and April. And we gradually got to know each other because we gravitated toward healthy food and healthy salt. And I carry my little salt shaker in my purse, and your wife carries hers in her purse, and that brought us together.
Yeah, isn't that funny how it started with a real salt shaker in both of your purses, and we were like, okay. But you're right, the gravitating toward trying to be healthy with the choices that we made to eat. A lot of the people who were on the same tour were not necessarily health-minded, right?
Right.
And so we just kind of hit it off from the beginning, and Beth was like, I really like them. And I was like, yeah, they're very cool. So it was, it's good.
That was fun.
So March and April, and then y'all drove over 8 hours yesterday to come spend a few nights with us, and we're really glad of that. So, and thank you for taking a little bit of time to come on the podcast, because I think your story will inspire a lot of people as to what you've done just since we met in March and April. So why don't you tell a little bit about your experience of where you were having some breathing issues and lung issues, and where you are now compared to where you were then.
Okay. Well, I started to have congestion last October of 23, and it just wouldn't go away. And it was at times pretty massive and pretty debilitating, and constant coughing, and couldn't sleep, and then a lot of fatigue, and it kept going on. And everything I was trying wasn't working. I was doing enough things to stay with it and not really get broken down by it. So I kept going and kept traveling and had the holidays, and I was thrilled to be able to do that with the health issues and the health focus that I have. But then when we met and we started to talk more, you explained your 4 essentials, and then you guys shared some of your seasonal essential capsules, and I started taking those and increasing some of the other immunity programs. And then you told me about the red light therapy, so when I got home from the trip, I bought a red light mat to do that. And then I started doing some other things that you told me about that were for immunity and for lungs in particular. And gradually, by May, I was still coughing and still a lot of congestion. Gradually by May, then it started to lift, and now I don't have a cough.
Yeah.
And so then I was able to go on long bike rides and do what I like to do without coughing.
Yeah, because I remember during the trip, you were coughing a lot, and that's where we shared some seasonal essentials, and it helped some, but it didn't really clear up your problem until you got on the more what I'll call the full Opti program. Like you said, the 4 foundations.
Right.
We did the vitamin D with Super K. We did seasonal essentials. I don't remember. We did a lot of different things, because you're one of the people that I love to meet, because you already had the wellness mindset. And so you were willing to invest in your health and be the CEO, right? You were willing to say, okay, I don't necessarily care what this costs. I need to get well. I want to be able to ride my 10 miles on my bike and do what I want to do, right?
Right. And I knew my body can heal, and I believe and I have faith that the body is brilliant and knows how to heal. And I was puzzled because I just couldn't get over whatever that step was that was holding me back and kept the congestion continuing. And it was very frustrating, and you start to lose hope of knowing what to do. I didn't lose hope that my body knows what to do. My body knew, and my body's brilliant to know that. I just couldn't figure out quite the steps. And then when we met you guys and we started talking to you guys, and you started giving me more steps, and then we did the D and the essentials, the seasonal essentials, and the vitamin C I increased.
Yep.
And then also the Kangen water.
Yep, you invested in it.
Started drinking
machine.
that. Yep. And then I was also using a nebulizer and putting the 11.5 in the nebulizer.
Right. So when you say 11.5, a pH of water that comes out of the Kangen machine. Mm-hmm. Right.
And so that I could directly affect the alkalinity of my lungs.
Yes.
So they could heal.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so tell us about you, because of the ongoing lung issue. You had an x-ray done, if I remember the story right. You correct me if I'm wrong. Showed some congestion in the lower lungs and some scarring, some scarring from the problem that you'd had so long. And you made an appointment with a pulmonologist, but it took 8 or 12 weeks or some long
8 weeks.
8 weeks to get in.
Right.
And by the time you went, after you had started all this regimen, what happened at that appointment?
Yeah. Well, it was really frustrating because here I was coughing for so long, and it was really breaking my spirit down of how am I going to do this? What's going on? What's my body trying to tell me? I need to figure this out. I need to figure this out. And then when I got the appointment with the pulmonologist, the x-ray did show, well, the congestion and the lower lobes of the lungs were pretty bad. And then scar tissue, and that's what he was concerned about. So I went in, but it took 8 weeks. And by then, all the other things I was doing worked, and my lungs healed. And so when I got there, he did his regimen, and he was a young man, and I respected him because he said, okay, there's really nothing more I can do. There's nothing you need now. You're fine. And the scar tissue wasn't even evident. And I had just done a 10-mile bike ride a couple days before that, and no coughing. And so previously, I couldn't walk from room to room without coughing, just with breathing caused coughing. And here I had done a 10-mile bike ride and no coughing. So he said, and every morning I was getting up early and doing my walking in my area. And he said, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You're fine. If you ever need something, you can come back. So it was all clear.
Very respectable of him that he admitted, hey, you don't really need me anymore.
Right. He said we could do a lot of tests, but he said, I'm not going to put you through that because there's nothing there, and we don't need a baseline now because you're fine.
Yeah, the fact you'd ridden a bike 10 miles the day before without any coughing is pretty impressive in itself. And so you were able in 8 weeks of starting this plan, we'll call it, this regimen, to completely heal, and he tells you everything's good, you don't need
You're clear. Yep.
I love it. That is the power of the way God designed our bodies, when we give the body, again, what it needs, and we take the bad stuff away.
Right.
And I do remember when you got the Kangen machine, I was like, okay, get you a nebulizer. And you said, well, I already have one. And I was like, okay, start nebulizing some 11.5 and let's put it directly in the lungs and let's see. So the combination of the red light, the Kangen water, the supplements, the determination, the belief, the prayer, all the things that you were doing, obviously in 8 weeks had a significant effect. And you've had no issues since, correct?
Nope, none. And, the belief system that to decide, it's really a decision. What do we believe about our body? And I believe our body can heal, and I believe the potential is just phenomenal. We have to figure out the pieces sometimes, and we have to remove the interference. Whatever's in the way, and just remove it.
I think you said that perfect. Remove the interference and put in the pieces that we need. That's a perfect way of saying it. And the fact that you said something that I think is really, really important for the audience to get, and that is that we have to believe that we're going to get better. We have to believe that the body can heal. We have to believe that the lungs will clear up, because I'm 100% believer that if we believe that it won't, that it won't.
Right.
And, one of my favorite quotes is Henry Ford, and he said, If you believe you can, you're right. If you believe you can't, you're right. And you really set yourself up for success or failure.
Right. Starts
in the mind, right? And your mindset toward things.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that drew Beth and I to you and Vince was your mindsets were very similar in that you were looking for healthy foods, you were looking for quality supplements, quality water, but that you had that positive mindset. Hey, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to get through this. My body will heal.
Right.
And I think that's really important for people to understand, because if they have what I call the Eeyore attitude, where everything's bad, oh, nothing's going to work out today, Winnie the Pooh, that's what they're going to get.
Well, and those are the voices we hear around us, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. There are very few voices that say, keep believing, you'll find it, you'll get this, you can do it, you'll figure it out. And to have people that just also believe, that was really special when we met you, because that's a force in itself, to have people around who also believe. We don't know yet what to do, but it's there. And to put the yet on there. And because if we look at, a lot of research or a lot of information that's out there, or a lot of what other people are telling us they're doing, they're not saying you can believe and you can get it. Mm-hmm. And we kept saying we can.
Yeah. And you could have gotten frustrated and given up, right?
Right.
You could have said, well, I've tried it. I can't fix it. But you kept looking, you kept searching, you kept listening, you kept learning.
You kept saying, not yet, not yet.
Right.
I don't have it yet.
Right.
Put the yet on there.
And I knew
when
we started talking about some of the things that you've done and some of the health educational weekends or retreats, whatever you want to call them, that you had already done, I knew you had that mindset. And it's always refreshing to meet people like that. And like I say, you immediately said, okay, we need a Kangen machine. You said, okay, red light's going to help.
Yep.
You tell me red light.
Right.
All right, let's get red light. I mean, you were willing to, again, invest in yourself, in your health.
And to stay focused. And also focus for me is food as medicine, that what I'm eating is the medicine that my body needs, and to really be specific with that for healing, for immunity, for the best sleep, whatever you're looking for. But to look at food as medicine, that's been a really strong focus for me. So that's why we joked on the trip, because I was always looking for good food.
Right. We put you in charge of finding our farm-to-table restaurants and things. Yes.
Yep.
And, you say food is medicine, but Hippocrates said it, let food be thy medicine. I mean, the father of medicine said that. So it's very true what you just said. And you did find us a lot of really cool restaurants, farm-to-table, and good organic fresh food. We ate really well on this trip. So it was something that we just kind of delegated over and said, all right, Jenny, where are we eating tonight?
I'll take it. Yeah. But I think it's the decision to believe, and what am I telling myself, and what do I believe? And then how intentional can I be to walk what I believe?
Yeah.
So it's living with a lot of intentionality.
Yeah, I think. Yes, so I like to think of it instead of intentionality. I love the word, but that you are willing to take actions.
Right.
You don't just say, oh, well, yeah, I know what to do, and then not do it. You're willing to actually follow through and take those actions so that you get the results you got. Because look, and you know this as well as I do, had you stayed in the medical community and tried to get the pulmonologist to do their thing, you would probably be on a slew of drugs, and you would probably not be better. You would certainly not have healed your scar tissue and all those things at this point.
Right.
And so the fact that you were able to do it before you ever got into the appointment, which is a whole nother problem with the medical system, how long it takes you to get in when you're sick, is really quite amazing and really quite unusual, Jenny. So you should be very proud of your accomplishment and the fact that you're, and look, you haven't let up either, right? You're still doing all the things, all the supplements, all the red light, all the water, all those things. You're continuing because you don't want to have this come back, right?
Right. Well, and to get to the pulmonologist and then have him say, you're fine, you're free.
Yeah.
Go ahead, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing more than most people anyway. Keep going. Was a really strong validation, self-validation that what I'm doing matters, and I'll keep going. I'm not going to stop doing something that works. If you find something that works, keep it up. And so that was a real strong validation to have that on the outside. But it wasn't a predictor of my health. It was just a reflection and a validation of what I already did.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about that, tell me, when in your lifetime did it click to you, or was it just intuitively always there that the body could heal itself if I did the right things, and I need to look for the right foods and the right supplements? And when did all that, and I need to exercise, when did that kind of start for you?
Well, in the 70s, my mother got cancer. And so it was, it's not one person gets cancer, the whole family faces cancer.
Right.
So our whole family was pulled through hell and back with all the procedures and surgeries and just constant pain of that. And she followed everything she was told to do, and then she died. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I felt so betrayed of trusting that someone else could figure out your health. So at that point, I made the decision I needed to figure out what my health could be and would be and should be. And I started researching, and at that point I had to go to the library and take a book out and read it, and then you had to send for the book and send your check and wait 6 weeks and all that. But I did it, and I had books on, eating for wellness and heal your body with food and exercise, and I started just researching everything possible to own it myself, because I saw her in a position of being passive and waiting for someone else to tell her what would work. And she kept doing everything, and we all kept believing and hoping, and then our hopes were dashed over and over again. And after a while, when your hopes keep getting dashed, you realize there's something wrong with this picture. And it was the ownership of owning our health instead of being passive. So at that point, I started stepping forward on organic food, on exercise, on getting enough sleep.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I can unpack from that are really, I think, very important, again, for the folks listening, is number one, I say it this way: you became the CEO of your own health way back in the 70s because of your mom's experience.
Right.
Which is unfortunate for her, but great that you took that and learned and made that a positive thing for your life. And I had a very similar situation where my grandmother died from cancer, which is really what started my wellness-oriented journeys and things. But the same concepts as what you said, she did exactly what they told her, and the chemo and radiation ended up killing her. Mm-hmm. So, and they readily admitted that that's what happened. But it is sad, but hopefully we can learn from these experiences and not only help ourselves, but help our families and others that are around, right? I know you try to help your children and your grandchildren and Vince and just people you meet, try to be healthier, right? And try to give them solid advice for those who will listen.
And it's making the decision to swim upstream and go against the current, no matter what other people are saying, no matter what my friends said, no matter what they did or didn't do, to stay on the course, no matter what, even if I felt aloof or alone or was told that, you're a loner because you're doing this. And, well, yep, I guess I am. That's what I'm doing. But to really stay the course for your own self, to really own that, big step.
Well, and I think your results speak for themselves, right? So obviously both of us sitting here right now are older than we've ever been, right? No question. I don't think anybody can argue with us on that point.
Gotcha.
But how would you describe, Ginny, how you feel today? And in general, how you feel every day?
Well, I feel stronger. I feel more energy. Sometimes I take a nap, especially if I haven't had much sleep or I had a lot of interrupted sleep. I had my grandsons overnight recently, and so they were waking me up all night, so it was interrupted. But even with that, most days now I get up and get started in the morning, and I start out with taking my walk or doing whatever I have to do and get my day going, and it just keeps going and going and going, and it doesn't stop. And whether we work in, a major exercise program or something new, we just keep going and going and going. So I'm not slowing down, And
Right.
I'm thinking well, and I still have some of my private practice going as a therapist, which I love and I thrive on. Take on new challenges, open the doors for new things in my life. I mean, all that's coming, and I'm not dragging. My life isn't dragging.
Right. So
which is what I see a lot of people.
Yeah, you don't feel like at your age you're old and taking the last few steps and going downhill.
Nope.
You're getting better and feeling good and doing things and doing the things you want to do, right?
Right.
You can enjoy your grandkids, you can enjoy your work, you can enjoy activities, you can enjoy travel, you can enjoy exercise. You're living what I like to say is an optimal life, right? Where you feel good, you think clearly, you revive, thrive, and optimize. That's what the shirt says.
Right.
It's kind of our tagline for OptiU. So I think that's really, really impressive.
Right. And each of the things that I think of for my day or I want to do, I just think of doing them. I don't have to think of ways to readjust or ways to pull back or ways to be careful or ways. And I hear other people my age doing that. Well, I can't do this anymore. They can't do that, or they stop doing things. And I think, why? Why would you do that? But I don't have to think of how to pull back. I just think of what I want to go forward on.
I love it. So if you had to take and say my favorite 2 or 3 supplements that you started me on, Billy, what would you say are your favorites? Or is it too hard to say?
Well, I think the seasonal essentials was really helpful for me because I was dealing with the breathing issue. And, of course, at that time there was a lot of pollen, too, and I don't know how that affected breathing. But when your breathing changes, your life changes. I mean, we need a breath, right?
Right.
First breath and last breath are pretty important, right?
Yes, a little bit, yes.
And then I value even the vitamin C. And at some times in my life, I just kind of minimized that because I didn't really think about what vitamin C does. But I think that's pretty important, too, for me with the building my immune system.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Very good answers. And that makes sense because your issues were lung-related.
Right.
And the Super C with flavonoids and the seasonal essentials are definitely designed to help immunity, and seasonal essentials more specifically bronchial, lung kind of issues. And
I really like your protein powder too, because most people and a lot of us can, if we neglect that, we can be deficient in protein, and that really has changed my energy, my fortitude.
Yes, great.
My strength. Mm-hmm.
And you like the flavors and easy to mix, right? Very convenient. So good. And, of course, it's important to you. I know it's not to everybody. It should be, and hopefully they'll get this. But you appreciate the fact that it's grass-fed, grass-finished, New Zealand cows, no hormones, no antibiotics, no genetically modified ingredients.
Right. Or I
never heated, never denatured protein, or you wouldn't be using it.
I wouldn't do it. Nope.
Right. So tell us now, you have a daughter who is into health.
Right.
And tell us a little bit about what she does.
Well, she's a chiropractor, and in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where I live, and they teach 5 essentials. They teach chiropractic because the spine is the only system of bone that protects neurology the whole way through your body, and keeping your spine in line helps the neurology feed all the organs, so you're not causing problems. But then they also teach nutrition, and they talk a lot about protein also. And, of course, they teach, grass-fed and wild-caught fish and the nutritional direction that you go in, too. And then they talk about what you eat and how you detox, because we're all being affected by environmental things around us right now, and so we need to be aware of detox. Let me think what their other essentials are. Chiropractic, nutrition, detox, exercise every day. And they teach a HIIT program that's only 20 minutes, so everybody you can't say, I don't have 20 minutes.
Right.
Everybody has 20 minutes.
Right.
Yep.
So when you say HIIT, high intensity interval training.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You do 20 seconds of an exercise, then you wait 20 seconds and do it again.
Right.
Go back and forth. Mm-hmm.
Right. Very nice.
Yep. And I think I forgot the 5th essential. So I don't know.
Well, you got 4 out of 5. That's pretty good.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5 is good.
She'll laugh at me.
Yeah.
But their practice is just thriving and thriving. People are being drawn.
And when you say there,
She and her husband are both chiropractors.
Her husband's also a chiropractor in her practice, right? Okay.
Yeah, and their practice is a Max Living program.
Yes.
So if you know anything about Max Living, you know where they're going with that.
Yeah.
And people are drawn to the wellness part of it and the health. It's a healthy place. People in there are happy. People are lively. They teach some exercises you do before and after your adjustment to help your body. People are chatting and talking, and it's a lively place. And people are thriving on health and wellness and coming there to thrive. And more people just keep coming and coming and coming.
Yeah, that's great. And it, I do think that what your daughter does and her husband and what I do with the wellness, it's becoming more and more known, and more people are looking for it. It's just unfortunate that it seems like we can't get any traction from the medical communities. They continue to only look at prescription drugs.
Right.
Yeah,
they overlook it. Right.
They really do, and they not only overlook it a lot of times, but they look down on it.
Minimize it.
They minimize and say, "Oh, that won't work." I mean, chiropractors don't know what they're doing. The pharmacist doesn't know. Those supplements won't work. Those adjustments won't work, and maybe not 100% of the time, certainly, but they do help a lot of people.
Well, each ingredient of that matters.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's about a lifestyle, right? It's not one thing. It's not just Billy's supplements. It's not just your daughter's chiropractic treatments. It's not just Kangen water. It's not just exercise. It's all those things when we put them together. I like to think of it like a symphony. When everybody's in tune, it sounds awesome, right? But when one's out of tune, we gotta go tune it up. And I think that's what you have looked for over the years and done, because, like I say, I know you'd been to Arizona and done some trainings.
Right.
And you have studied health, and you just dove into what you and I and Beth and Vince were talking about. Like, okay, let's do it.
Find a way.
I love that. Find a way.
Yep.
And your results have been quite amazing. I'm so proud of you and happy for you.
Well, thank you.
That you're not coughing on this trip.
Nope, not at all. Nope.
And it's pretty cool that we just met in March, and that you've already traveled from Lancaster, Pennsylvania to Kings Mountain, North Carolina to visit us.
Right.
And then September the 1st, Beth and I are coming to Lancaster to visit you and Vince. So that's pretty cool.
Right. Yep.
How we are going to make 2 trips this year to see each other that are about, 8+ hours away from each other, driving 8 hours. Yeah. So that's, it just shows how much we think about y'all. Right. It really does.
The connection.
And how much we like being around you and having fun. And we always laugh, always, when we're together or eating or driving in a car or wherever we are, right? We have a good time, like-minded. It's very nice.
Right. Yeah, and part of the like-minded piece is the energy for thriving and the energy for wellness, and the energy of living is magnetic and it's contagious.
Yes.
So it draws people, and it's at times it's hard to find people that will do that. So we found that on the trip, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, so I like to end by asking you, Ginny, if you had to tell the people out here listening, what is your biggest 1, 2, 3 pieces of advice that you would tell them for their health?
For health.
Well, it doesn't have to be necessarily for health. Just in general, what pieces of advice should they hear from you as we finish up here?
Well, I'm real strong on the what you believe is really important.
Yes.
Our belief system leads us, and whatever we're thinking leads our behavior, and that sets up our emotions. So the belief system is extremely powerful. If we believe I can organize my day and get exercise and take my supplements and eat well, and I can find some organic things or as many organic things as possible, and I can get enough sleep, whatever we believe we can do, we'll start doing. And like you said earlier, the action steps matter. So I think the belief system is the most powerful thing to really evaluate our belief system and our mindset.
Absolutely.
What we're believing.
I love that answer.
Because we're not just floating around with whatever trend is happening. We're holding and anchoring on our own belief system. What do we really, truly believe?
I think that is one. It may be the most powerful thing. Period.
So I'd say that's probably my advice: is to really examine your belief system, and then what is your how are you using your belief system to set up your lifestyle and how you're going to live.
Right. To succeed. Right.
Right.
To succeed.
Right. And then the gratitude of. I think it's really important to maintain a sense of remembering and noticing, and for those that have faith, that would be prayer, of being really thankful for what we do find and how it does work and how brilliant our body is made.
Yeah.
And our body does know how to heal. And the gratitude of that is also contagious.
Yes. Well, and I think you say that about the thankfulness and having gratitude. I would think that maybe every single meal we've eaten together since March, we've held hands and prayed, the four of us.
Right.
To be thankful for the ability to go out and have good quality food, right, and good quality supplements and good quality water. So I do think that those are both really good pieces of advice for people to take.
Right. And to thank the people we're around, too, that help encourage us.
Right.
I mean, that's also part,
right,
of really being appreciative and naming what we appreciate in the people around us with that gratitude.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of people that don't have that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really sad for people that don't, especially sad for kids that don't get that kind of nurturing care from their parents. So, all right, Ginny, it's been awesome. Now we're getting ready to bring on trouble, though. We're bringing on Vince.
You can bring on Vince.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
That was great, Ginny. Thank you.